Hello to all World Bioeconomy Forum followers from all over the globe. Today we are delighted and honoured to be joined by Professor Petteri Taalas, who has been Secretary General of the WMO since the 1st of January 2016. The World Meteorological Organization, or the WMO, is a specialised agency of the United Nations responsible for promoting international cooperation on atmospheric science, climatology, hydrology, and geophysics. The WMO originated from the International Meteorological Organization, a non-governmental organization founded as long ago as 1873 as a forum for exchanging weather data and research. The WMO is made up of 193 countries and territories and facilitates the free and unrestricted exchange of data, information, and research between the respective meteorological and hydrological institutions of its members. Headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, the WMO is governed by the World Meteorological Congress, composed of member states, which meets every 4 years to set policies and priorities. So let's move on. Petteri, welcome to you. We are delighted to have you with us.
Thanks for the invitation. It's my great pleasure.
Excellent. First of all, congratulations on the award for the Bioperson of the Year award, which was announced at the last World Bioeconomy Forum in Ruka that we had. We hope it's a positive sentiment for you, and any comments on winning the award?
I was, of course, surprised, and I'm very honored to be such a person, and it's an honor also for my organization, not only for myself personally, but also for this. For WMO and atmospheric science community that I'm representing.
Fantastic. So how would you position the role of the bioeconomy in relation to climate change mitigation? What role does it play, and what role do bioproducts play in this sector?
There are two sides of the coin. So the bioeconomy can be a solution. We know that 1/4 of the carbon dioxide that we are emitting into the atmosphere is taken by the forests, growing forests, and also other land ecosystems, especially forests. So that's very important in from that perspective. And then of course we may have also challenges. For example, if we are dealing with non-renewable rainforest areas, for example, this has been one of the challenges for past 150 years, and still about 15% of the carbon problem is coming from land use, and there especially deforestation of tropical rainforests is a challenge, and that should be stopped. But on the other hand, we need also to strengthen our carbon sinks, and what has happened in some parts of the world, like Northern Europe or Canada, they have been able to enhance their forest resources and bind more carbon from the atmosphere, and also these bioproducts, especially this kind of long products with long lifetime, like materials for construction. They are also a very powerful way to store carbon and remove carbon from the atmosphere. So there are two sides of the coin, and in the best case, bioeconomy is a very good way to mitigate climate change.
Excellent, thank you. You actively remind us that 85% of the cause of climate change is due to the use of fossil fuels. So this really underlines the importance of finding alternative ways to replace fossil fuels and develop alternative energy sources and methods. So what are your takeaways and measures of the global societies progressing fast enough to keep to +2 degrees Celsius targets? And what measures do you think should be implemented to keep up the pace? Are we going fast enough?
If you read the past IPCC report, which was published in 2014, then the most likely scenario for the warming of this century was 3 to 5 degrees. And thanks to already somewhat the successful climate mitigation action, we are now heading towards 2.5 to 3 degrees warming, not yet towards the Paris 1.5 to 2 degrees limits, but progress has been made. And it's very important to have solutions in energy sector, which is the biggest emitter, and there we have to get rid of fossil fuels, coal, oil and natural gas, and also transport sector is contributing a lot, especially car transportation, and there we have to use more electric vehicles and perhaps also biofuels and waste-based fuels, and hydrogen also offers us opportunities. And then many industries, they are at the moment actively developing means to be successful in climate mitigation. For example, steel production in the future may be much more carbon neutral than today. And then in this bioeconomy, it's very important to stop this deforestation of tropical forests, which is not the major problem globally, but it's also one of the problems, and this sector can also be a solution. We were just publishing 2 days ago a report on future energy supplies and how we should, what kind of energy solutions are needed if we would like to become carbon neutral by 2050 or 2070 to reach the Paris limits. And there's a vision that there's a need for growing amount of bioenergy as well. And this bioenergy could be coming from waste from agriculture, and also from the waste from forestry. So there are also means to produce more bioenergy. And some countries have already shown good example of that. For example, Scandinavian countries, there's been a growth in bioenergy use, and the forest industries has shown good ways to to save energy and use the waste of forest products to produce energy. So there's growing potential also in bioeconomy. Besides that, we have to invest in solar, wind, hydro, and most likely also new type of nuclear energy to be successful in climate mitigation. Good news is that we have means to be successful in mitigation, and there's still a very good chance to achieve at least the upper limit of Paris Agreement, 2 degrees. 1.5 at the moment is very challenging, although we have seen progress, and especially the developed countries have commitments which would keep us on 1.5 degrees track, but unfortunately some of the big Asian economies were not ready to make such commitments at the last climate conference in Glasgow.
It's interesting because it's also good to hear that progress is being made, that's for sure. But it's interesting to note also that if we had done it even sooner, it would have sort of maybe avoided the energy crisis that we seem to have at the moment with the obvious situation going on with Russia and Ukraine. Any comments to make about that and the effect that might have on further progress?
Yeah, this has shown that the energy can be used also as a weapon or some sort of mean of weapon, and that's what Russia has done even much well before this Ukraine war broke last spring. So they started reducing their supply of natural gas resources for Western countries, West European countries, already a year ago, and that's demonstrating that the fossil fuels carry such burden and a certain risk that they may be used for blackmailing or even as this kind of weapon that is at the moment happening, and that's demonstrating that we have to. I think it's a wake-up call for the whole world, that we have to think of other sources of energy, and those are this renewable energy. It's also nuclear energy, small-scale reactors, and also bioeconomy is offering us very good opportunities for that. And this kind of local energy production is something different from this kind of dependence on for example, Russian or Arabic fossil resources.
Yeah, so we should wean ourselves off of those fuels immediately, really, or as soon as we can, anyway.
I think that's been a wake-up call. It may be that during the coming couple of years we have to use more fossil fuels to comfort the energy need, but I'm confident that this situation will speed up our reduction of the use of fossil fuels, and it will speed up our green transition towards climate-friendly energy solutions, which is good news for climate mitigation.
Great. I'm liking your optimism. That's really good. So COP27 is just around the corner. What are your expectations of it? Can you elaborate a little bit about it, and what would be the minimum target that would be essential here?
Yeah, we will, in a couple of weeks, we will start the COP27 in Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt, and we have been also actively engaged in the planning of that meeting, and there are, I would say, 3 targets. One is to make sure that the pledges that the countries have made, they are following them, and mitigation activities still continue. But besides that, there's going to be more attention to climate adaptation, and that's very much the plea from less developed part of the world, that we have to adapt to climate change, and we have to pay attention to continents like Africa, because this is going to be an African COP. And from our side, we are just preparing a major action plan to improve the early warning services, which is a powerful way to mitigate the risks of climate change. About half of our members don't have proper early warning services, and that means that when the storm or a flooding or drought event hits those countries, we see more human losses and economic losses, and that's one of the things. And then there's going to be more emphasis on water, because the impacts of climate change, they are going to be they're felt very much through water, and the water demand globally is growing because of population growth and economic growth, and at the same time water scarcity is going to be more severe in the future. We see melting of the glaciers, which means that we are getting less and less water to main rivers in many parts of the world. We have started seeing higher temperatures, which mean also higher evaporation, which is bad news for agriculture, and also this rainfall distribution globally has been changing. We have started seeing more rain in northern high latitudes, and less, for example, in Mediterranean region, in both Americas and several parts of Asia, which is a problem for agriculture and human well-being, and also for industry. So this water is going to be one of the items that we will deal with in Sharm el Sheikh fairly soon.
Excellent. Interesting. I mean, even in the UK, we had a drought this year, which is unheard of in the UK. I mean, that's just never happens. So, it's on our doorsteps every day, for sure. For sure. Yeah,
and of course, that has happened recently in Europe. We were breaking temperature records and also drought records in many parts of Europe. The same happened also in China, in western parts of United States, and especially in Horn of Africa, they have suffered of drought for a couple of years already, whereas in Pakistan we have seen very dramatic flooding where 1/3 of the country has been flooded. So because of climate change and especially this Arctic warming, we have started seeing more often these kind of stagnant weather conditions, more permanent high pressure systems with heat waves and drought, and also that the paths of low pressure areas have been almost the same day by day, and that's what has happened in Pakistan, and it happened also in Germany a year ago.
Yeah, very, very interesting and worrying, in fact. Yes. So back to the bioeconomy. The bioeconomy does not currently have a global home, unlike climate change mitigation or biodiversity. There have been growing discussions on whether the bioeconomy should have its own COP, where countries and topics and issues related to bioeconomy are discussed and agreed upon on a global scale. What are your thoughts on having a home for the bioeconomy?
Yeah, that's a good question, because we have started paying attention to climate change. We have started paying attention to biodiversity, but we haven't paid so much attention to opportunities offered by bioeconomy, nor what kind of economic or energy or employment meaning it carries. So that's a bit the challenge. Here at WMO we are dealing with Earth system, where of course we have also vegetation as one component. Then we have FAO, which is supposed to deal with agriculture and forestry to a certain degree, and then we have this International Energy Agency, which is dealing with energy solutions, and also they have been paying attention to bioeconomy as a source of energy. But as you said, there's not a clear home in the UN family nor the international family for bioeconomy, and that's a challenge, and at least some sort of cross-cutting approach would be needed to bring these issues more on the agenda, which is nowadays a bit dominated by climate change and this biodiversity challenge, and this kind of wider perspective may be a bit lost because of that.
Yeah, sure. There's definitely a growing interest in all countries with the bioeconomy, and yeah, I'm sure that it's going to just boom over the next few years for sure, and further into the future, of course. So any other comments to make about the bioeconomy and how it's advancing, and maybe some opportunities that are there?
Yeah, of course, I'm a little bit concerned of this kind of negative tones that exist and against bioeconomy, and I would like to see it as a solution, and there's great potential to be a solution rather than being a problem. And of course, we have some problematic areas, as I already mentioned, but also bioeconomy could be a solution to the global challenges, climate change and biodiversity, which are fairly high on the global agenda.
Yeah. Petteri, it's been a delight to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.